Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Ooh.
Before we get into it, though, I want to say this is a spoiler review.
Spoiler review.
Full spoiler reviews. If you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, do not watch this. Jeff.
Save it to your watch later, though.
Dad, I'm looking at you. He tends to watch the spoiler reviews anyway.
Why?
I don't know.
Jeff, don't do it.
Anyways, full spoilers, last warning, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It was good.
It was good.
It was good.
It was fine.
I think the negative reviews are a bit harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just knowing how Rotten Tomatoes works, like, it's not as negative as it seems, one. Two, I'm almost glad the reviews came out negative because the people lowered their expectations and went into the movie and came out like, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or ways, I think if this would have opened to like a 90, people would have come in and been like, that was fucking terrible, you know? So, But anyway, in the actual specifics of the movie, things I loved.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Yes.
Loved it. Loved the Kang character and the little backstory they gave to this version of Kang the Conqueror. I loved Paul Rudd. Always loved Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Pfeiffer got more stuff to do. Always welcome. She was excellent. I love the art direction of the quantum realm and just that world in general. It was very Star Wars-esque, and it felt like very like a science fiction movie within that world that I enjoyed.
I saw a tweet. Someone said Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania reminds me of Dune, Star Wars, and Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and Spy Kids 3D, and I don't know if I like that or not.
That is such an accurate description. Holy crap. But yeah, so I liked all of that.
Okay.
And there's some action sequences I enjoyed. Overall, I like the movie. Things I didn't enjoy. Because it's very much mixed bag, lower tier MCU. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I didn't enjoy, I feel like I didn't live in a scene.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept moving and moving and moving and moving. And while for some movies, I think that works. Like, I like Doctor Strange a lot more than you do, the second one.
Yeah.
And I think that type of pacing worked for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it worked for this movie. Because a lot of the Ant-Man movies relied on living in scenes with these characters.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't.
So for some context, since we're doing a spoiler one,
Yeah.
When they first get to the quantum realm, which is the
Early.
first 10 minutes,
Yeah.
they're like, fucking get them there.
Yeah.
It cuts like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes because the gang gets split up.
Yeah.
So you focus on Jenna Van Dyne, Hank Pym, and
Wasp.
Hope Van Dyne, and Ant-Man, and Cassie. But you very easily could have let those scenes play out for like 10, 15 minutes at a time. And as an audience member, you realize that these scenes are happening concurrently.
Yeah.
And that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But instead it's like, we need to make sure they know that this is happening at the same time, and it didn't allow you a moment to breathe.
Yeah. That would have been okay if they weren't introducing so many new ideas and things to get accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they introduced this whole new side of the quantum realm. They introduced brand new characters from the quantum realm.
Yes.
And since I didn't get a minute to live and know these people, when they're paying off emotional moments at the end, I didn't feel it because I'm just like, I just met this person, you know, like I didn't live or feel with this person. There's one moment in the movie that was a very lived-in scene that I loved, and it's when Ant-Man teaches Cassie how to do the move.
Oh, yeah, the pop and jump.
Like, more moments like that, where there's a lot going on, but like, let's take a moment and let's be with these characters and see something. Needed more of that, the movie overall. There's some script issues that I didn't love, but I don't know if a lot was cut out or if it was made in this way. Since this guy's writing Kang Dynasty, I feel like maybe a lot was just cut out.
Okay.
But we'll see. I've always said take the writer's benefit of the doubt because you never know. Like the Last of Us guy, the stuff he made previously, you never know how it was on paper. You never know how it was on paper.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But
I'm confident.
I think that movie's gonna have a lot of studio oversight on it, which I think is important.
Yeah, but
in this instance,
yeah. But regardless, I feel like, and our good friend Ben Lamoureux, who does the Rec Room podcast, he said this, and I fully agree. I feel like not enough was established to make Kang the new big baddie of the MCU, other than how good Jonathan Majors is.
Well, because then at the end of it, he gets taken down by ants.
He gets taken down by ants and Ant-Man, and like nobody dies.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like, I want to establish this.
Yeah, and I was worried for Scott for a minute there. He was beating that boy's ass. But like, not saying you have to kill Ant-Man or you have to do this. There almost felt like there was no real consequence, other than there's more Kangs coming, right? Because the Kang dynasty.
Because even at the end they get out.
Yeah,
which I disagree with.
Yeah, so there's some instances there. Like I said, overall I enjoyed the movie. I think it's a perfectly fine movie. It just did a bunch of little things that I think were preventing it from being a great movie. Kept happening. And I also think that our friend Harry, who we saw the movie with, had a theory about what's going on with Kang the Conqueror, because I don't think that version of Kang is dead.
Okay.
And especially just because I don't want this version to be dead, because I really like this version. But we'll see. But he had a theory where, because in the movie they kind of take basically extra subatomic after the quantum realm, him and his ship's core like almost just disappear.
Yeah.
And our friend Harry had a theory that wherever they end up in like another dimension or whatever, that multiplier that Ant-Man had to go through, where himself was just being multiplied, the probability storm, that Kang is in one of those, and a bunch of Kangs are being born, and they're going to find a way to get out and escape, and it's just a bunch of that version of Kang. That's a great theory, and I would love to see that happen. Speaking of the probability storm, that was one of my favorite moments in the movie, and I've seen a lot of people give it pushback, saying it was cheesy. I almost got chills with all the other Scotts helping Scott. I thought it was a great scene, personally.
I think it did a great job of establishing that, like, the one Cassie, that is Ant-Man's only motivation. And I think that worked well. I think it was a little cheesy, but I bought into it. I would equate it to like the scene in Homecoming when he's like, "Come on, Spider-Man," and you're like, cool, I get it, it makes sense, but but I personally really like I like the sequence. I mean, I think the best 20-minute chunk of this movie is when you have 3 scenes that they actually let you sit in, and it starts when Janet is explaining to Hank and Hope who Kang is. Like, that whole sequence of Janet and Kang in the quantum realm was fantastic. I would have watched 2 hours of that.
I agree.
And then that immediately then goes into Kang interrogating Ant-Man and Cassie. And that is a great scene. And then that immediately cuts to the probability. So like that 20-minute chunk, I was like, this is the movie I've kind of wanted. Like I want this bleak kind of oh shit moment. Like that was the only time I felt stakes in the movie. Personally.
I agree. The stakes were a bit well done in the movie, but I did feel them for the most part.
I think pros also, I didn't like the book ending of the voiceover with Ant-Man going about. I think some of it worked, but I think the ending dragged on too long of like we defeated him, right? You saw that.
I thought that was kind of silly.
Like that kind of kept going too long. And I think that the whole rebellion resistance storyline is interesting, but we didn't get enough. I saw the movie twice before this review. And there's the 3 or 4 main resistance fighters. There's the telepath, there's the main warrior girl, and then there's the alien, the 2 aliens with like the beam and the goo guy. I could not tell you a single one of their names.
And like, honestly, had they come out with like a Quantum Realm show before this movie where we got to know all these people, I'd feel differently about how it was, right?
I think a 6-episode Janet show in the Quantum Realm.
That would have been sick as fuck.
Where you can introduce like Bill Murray's character, you can introduce these resistance fighters, and then you go into the movie knowing them. I think is...
There's two more things I want to touch upon in the movie. One was Kathryn Newton. I thought she was fine. There are some parts where
I think she's a great actress. I love everything she's been in.
I agree. I fully agree. She's amazing and freaky. I didn't love her performance in the movie, but I think it's partially because of what she was given. And I think like when we see her interact with like Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh, like I feel like that's going to really shine. I still feel bad for the Endgame actress a lot, but Kathryn Newton did what she could.
You know what kind of bothered me about the character, though?
What's that?
2 things. One, and it kind of goes into every character that can shrink and grow, because the quantum realm is so big and also so microscopic, whenever they were shrinking and growing, I didn't feel any scale.
True.
Like, the shots looked just like regular people to me. And 2, whenever she would jump into someone in tiny form, she would bounce off, which is just not how Ant-Man works. And that was a little... I know that's a little detail, and it happens, like, twice, but they make a point to show you her jumping into someone and knocking it. And that's just not how the dynamics of Ant-Man works when he's shrunk down.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I was like...
Just kind of thrown off by it.
Yeah, and I get like when Ant-Man does it, he's a 40-year-old guy punching with the force of a 40-year-old guy that big, and she's a teenage girl.
Yeah.
But I feel like even still, it should have been like a shoulder. Like, the person should have been like...
moved a bit, yeah. No, I gotcha. That makes sense. Now let's talk about MODOK.
Let's talk about the MODOK of it all. Everyone is hating him online. Gotta
say.
Best character.
I loved MODOK in the movie. Well, and it's because... You said it beforehand. Either they go 100%, this is terrifying figure, you disform his face, you make it a body horror, this guy's coming to kill you type thing, or you make it self-aware and funny. And they went the self-aware and funny route, and I think it worked. The only thing that didn't work is the little redemption arc they do for him at the end. I didn't enjoy. Now, his final line is hilarious.
Are you referring to the scene where he basically destroys like Kang's shield?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, look at me, I'm a dick.
Yeah. It was funny, but that story-wise, I didn't buy that change happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have built it up because of how Kang was treating him in the movie.
But they only show like one instance of Kang treating him like that.
Exactly. And like, I loved seeing MODOK in a Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. I totally understand why they killed MODOK because you can't do this all the time.
I like the adaptation of making it Darren Cross.
Yeah.
Because I see what they were going with the Cassie storyline. Because Cassie's really the one who fights him the most.
Yeah. And yes.
And I get that. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it didn't. It worked, yeah.
Yes.
His final line at the end was so good. Yeah, no, he worked well for me.
Yeah.
And the effects weren't as jarring as I was expecting them to be.
Yeah. And like for those complaining about that, how else was it supposed to look like unless you're going to go a different direction with him where it wasn't funny?
Yeah.
Like how else are you going to...
If it wasn't funny, he would have been in the mask the whole time, I think. And you would have gotten like a Darth Vader shot at the end where you see like like deformed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't know. It worked for me personally. I loved MODOK.
No, I think there's a lot of positives in the like MODOK, Kang, Janet. Mm-hmm. I think a big disappointment for me also was Wasp in it.
Yeah, Wasp didn't really have much to do.
No, and I get, she's in the title. She was in the title of the first one, and that would have been a shitstorm if they took her out of the title. But like every time it would cut to her, I was like, oh yeah, she's in this.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she didn't have an arc in the movie.
Yeah, she got shafted.
Like she was there to be in scenes with her parents.
Yeah, and you made the joke of like, I think Wasp in this title is talking about Janet.
Yeah.
Of Ant-Man and the Wasp, but yeah.
Honestly, I think they could have just got away with calling the movie Quantumania.
Fair for sure. But yeah, no, it set up a lot that I'm excited for, but I do think there could have been more stakes. I wish I could have lived in a scene. This movie should have been an 8-episode show or cut out some of the new stuff and live in the scenes more. But yeah, I still enjoy the movie overall.
I do too. I think it is my least favorite of the Ant-Man movies.
I think so too. I might like it more than the second Ant-Man movie, but we got
like marginally so kind of thing.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Ant-Man 2 in a long time. Yeah. I want to rewatch Ant-Man 2 before I made that call because I like Wasp and Ant-Man 2 a lot.
Not gonna ask you something because there's something we disagree with about the movie.
Okay.
So one of my, I would say, almost top 5 favorite MCU characters is Hank Pym.
Yes.
I love Hank Pym so much. What did you think of the ants at the end?
I just didn't think it was set up good enough to buy that happening.
Okay.
Because, yes, they touch upon, like, oh, look, they built this themselves and they did that.
For spoiler content, we're referring to the army of super intelligent society ants that Hank Pym lets loose in the quantum realm.
Now, on paper, I understand, like, that them being one of the only things that can beat Kang, because Kang isn't ready for giant ants.
Yeah.
Like, I get that. But at the same time, the ants being the thing that defeat Kang just took, I think, cred away from our characters. Like, if they helped out in a certain way, like maybe they needed a weapon, and the ants could have built the weapon for our things to use, our characters to use, I think that would have been slightly different.
I think they were used to level the playing field because without it, you don't get the fist fight with Kang and Ant-Man at the end because his technology needs to be destroyed by these ants. Yeah,
and I feel like there was just a better way to have one of our characters destroy that technology. Because they were setting up early that Cassie's super intelligent.
Yeah.
Because, she's a new young character in the MCU. They all have to be scientists and geniuses. And I was like, okay, they're going to set up where she's going to figure out how to like disable Kang's stuff, and then
that almost feels like what the MODOK redemption arc should have been, is him like knowing how to shut it down.
I would have enjoyed that more. Yeah.
That being said, I love all of Hank Pym's rhymes. Just like, what, I like ants. Get off my case about it.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then him just like coming in with that. And I think Hank Pym, I still stand by, is one of the most dangerous people in the MCU.
He is.
Like, I mean, even the What If episode shows you like literally how dangerous he is.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, overall, recommend personally.
Oh, yeah, no, I recommend, for sure.
But I think there's a lot of good, and with that comes a lot of bad as well.
And with that being said, amped for Secret Invasion, amped for Guardians 3, big time.
Amped for Loki. We got a Loki tease, too.
Yes, we did. Yes, amped for the 2023 projects. Yeah. Big time. I'm
excited for the rest of it. I think that this was... Personally, for me, not being a fan of Thor: Love and Thunder and not being a big fan of Multiverse of Madness, I did enjoy Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy this, and I think that hopefully that trend continues. I think Guardians 3 looks incredible.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
Personally.
Yeah. I'd say, and this is early, I reserve the right to change my answer in my mind. Right now, I like it more than Thor 4. I don't like it as much as Doctor Strange 2.
I like it better than both.
I just really like Doctor Strange too, so that's tough for me to hear.
I think I almost would have liked to see Ant-Man or Sam Raimi direct this instead of Doctor Strange.
That's a fair argument, but I don't know. The more I've watched, and I liked Doctor Strange 2 a lot the first time I watched it. I've seen it about 3 or 4 times now. Mm-hmm. Each time I watch it, I like it more.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I still, that one, I don't feel the madness of the multiverse. I felt the Quantumania.
Fair. That's fair.
And that's where I'll leave it. Now, granted, if you look at my Letterboxd and rankings, they're both 3 stars.
Yeah, but we're getting into the nitty-gritty
now
here
we're just in
of
semantics.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you did a tiered system, I think they're same tier.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I would put Doctor Strange 2 at a higher tier. Mm-hmm. I would put this on a tier with, like, Love and Thunder, with Ant-Man 2, with Thor 2.
See, I disagree with that.
Iron Man 2, like... the bottom, but I don't dislike any of those movies. I just think they're fine,
MCU tier ranking video.
We might have to, but yes, that is the review for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, guys. Thank you so much